What's up, fellow Hoops fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. And as always, we are brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. It's Friday morning. Friday morning means old mate Benyam Kidane from NBA Australia. BK, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, my man. Back in the building. How you living?
I'm living good. Health is wealth. We've managed to avoid Delta. We're battling to avoid Omicron at the moment. So life is good, my man. Life is good. Listen, let's get into the NBA talk. We've got a lot to get through as always. I want to start with Kyrie Irving. BK came back yesterday. His first game as a part-time NBA player. Geez, that's the best job in the world, isn't it? Part-time NBA. Come on. He started out a little bit slow, BK. I think he missed his first 3 shots, but then he really got going in the second quarter. I think he had 8 points within a 2-minute period, which was all of the Brooklyn Nets points in the second quarter at that point. Finished with about 22, I think. Let me just double check. 22, 9 of 17 from the field, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals in just 32 minutes. Nets snap out of a 3-game losing streak. What did you see from Kyrie there, BK?
Firstly, Kyrie is one of my favorite players to watch. So it was just fun to watch him out there doing his thing. In terms of just entertainment, I think, the game needs Kyrie Irving. That's my guy. So it was great to see him back out there on the floor. But the Nets also need Kyrie Irving. I mean, I know he's only a part-time player. He's only playing in the road games, but I mean, something Patty Mills mentioned earlier in the week was when the Nets offense kind of gets a little stagnant, they have missed that kind of, other option. And Kyrie can just get you a bucket out of nothing. So in terms of their championship aspirations and sort of their road ahead, having a guy like Kyrie just completely changes everything for them.
And he proved it yesterday, BK, because like I said, that second quarter was when he really, got going. And then in the fourth quarter, I think he had 10 fourth quarter points. But he was doing it on both ends of the floor. His defense was leading to some offense. He was, sliding through, driving to the bucket there, looking like the Kyrie of old. And he didn't, you do it much better than me. He was looking like the Kyrie of old. And the Nets are definitely, like I said, they were already a championship contender without Kyrie. But with him, and look, again, I'm not changing my pick from Milwaukee because I'm sticking with my guys. But with him, I think they become the clear-cut favorites.
I agree. And look, they were already a very good team, but they've had a lot of injuries, a lot of guys out with health and safety protocols. So, I mean, if anything, they just needed the extra body on the roster. But what makes this work is the flexibility you have in a guy like Patty Mills, who can come off the bench and do a job. He can come into the starting lineup and do that job. Joe Harris is still a couple of weeks away. So how they kind of work that balance out between, I guess, the sort of backcourt players will be interesting. But overall, I mean, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, if you have James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant out on the floor, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, that's a great 3 to be relying on, BK. Kyrie's eligible to play in 22 more games this season. That's the Nets away games that he's eligible to play in. And we obviously know what that's going to mean for Patty Mills as well. So maybe the 6th Man of the Year campaign might be back on for...
He's only started 21 games. Is that too many?
He's only started 21. There's still hope. All right, BK, let's move on to another legend. Dirk Nowitzki got his number retired yesterday by the Dallas Mavericks. Number 41 will be worn by no one else for the remainder of time in Dallas. They're going to build a Dirk statue, BK. They're building it. Look at that.
And so they should.
Of course, so they should. I don't know. Those balls at the top there, they look like something else. And I'm not going to say what they look like.
Maybe one ball was enough,
Maybe one ball was enough. But, look, arguably the greatest European player ever, BK, probably until Giannis retires. I had to get that in there. They made 2 finals appearances with Dirk, 2006. They obviously won in 2011. Their most successful regular season, 2006, 2007, they won 67 games. He's been the only league and finals MVP in franchise history, 12 straight playoff appearances. I think they had about 11 50-win regular seasons as well. BK, obviously well deserved, but I want to ask you, looking back at Dirk's career, there's two questions I want to ask you. One, will we ever see a player stick with a franchise like that ever again? I personally don't. And secondly, what moment sticks out to you? What Dirk moment sticks out to you the most?
Well, to your first question, I don't think so, because the NBA is just not really set up like that anymore. 21 seasons with one team is crazy. And I mean, you want to hope if you're the Mavs that Luka Doncic is that guy. You get 20 seasons out of him. But for him to be with them the whole time, that kind of shows you why he is so highly regarded in the city of Dallas and why that statue has to get built. But in terms of favorite Dirk memories, I mean, it's obviously got to be the 2011 finals run, but specifically that game 4, the fever game, the flu game, whatever you want to call it. I mean, the Heat were getting their jokes off. Dirk was, sick with a high fever. He comes out, he's, playing terribly in the first half. And then towards the end of the game, when things still get tight, Dirk comes up with that huge bucket that levels the series. I mean, the Heat could have run away with things from there, but then, the Mavs go on to not lose another game. And that was kind of the moment where we already knew Dirk was that dude. But after that game, I was like, this is like a legendary finals run.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I kind of feel like that game gets neglected a little bit, or it gets overlooked when people are talking about Dirk and the great moments and that, because that was the series-changing game, or the moment, because like you said, they didn't lose a game after that and obviously go on to win the title. So 2011 is a great, Dirk, probably the apex of, I guess, Dirk's career. I mean, obviously the championship, but for me, I got to go back to the MVP season, 2006, 2007. Look, they get bundled out in the first round to the We Believe Warriors, right? So that's kind of like an asterisk on that season.
It's a regular season award. We're good.
This is a regular season award, right? They win 67 games. Dirk wins the MVP. I think he was averaging like 25 and 25, 9 and 3.5 assists, but he was also in the 50, 40, 90 club that season. And to that point, he was the first 7-footer to actually make that or reach, that mark, which is absolutely incredible. And look, that first round loss, it was just, it was a perfect storm. The Warriors, it was one of those things that you just could not avoid. So look, when you talk about individual seasons, I think that was probably Dirk's best one. Obviously, the championship is the apex of his career as far as team awards and winning that championship and then the finals MVP.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the 07 season was probably the apex of his personal production, just in terms of his game. But the other thing that stands out for me with Dirk is just the battles, the legendary battles between him and Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan. Like, that power forward era of the 2000s was crazy. And for him to kind of leave the game as a positionally redefining player, like, he changed the way players play at the power forward position. I think Kirk Goldsberry put up one of those charts of the shot leaders by zone the other day, and the entire mid-range section was just all Dirk. Like that, yeah. That's iconic in terms of his impact on the game. So salute to Dirk. He's forever a legend, not just in Dallas, but in NBA history.
And he kind of changed the tag of the soft European as well. Even though Dirk had it for, I reckon, the better part of the early part of his career, that changed, and I think that sort of changed it for the rest of the Europeans that came through after Dirk as well. That, look, these guys are not soft. They're coming from Europe. They're going to play just as hard as the Americans.
If he doesn't win that ring, I don't know if that tag gets lifted, but that was kind of when people were like, oh, like this guy, this, 7
He's got that killer
shooting. Yeah. He led his team to a title. And like that run, the teams that they beat on the way through to getting past Miami in that 2011, that's one of the toughest finals runs of all time. And Dirk didn't have another superstar alongside him. Like that was Dirk and, the role players, but it was all Dirk in that series.
Big facts. And like I said, greatest European player to date, but that's because Giannis is still playing, BK. We've still got some time. All right, BK, let's move on. Now, you're going to love talking about these two blokes as well, because I know you're a big fan of one of them in particular, Kelly Oubre and Lance Stephenson. They both had some fantastic showings yesterday, BK. Let's start with Lance Stephenson, 30 points, including 20 in one quarter. Stephenson is on a 10-day contract, playing on his former team, actually. He used to play for the Indiana Pacers. And then Kelly Oubre had 32 points, including 8 3-pointers in a quarter in the win over the Charlotte Hornets. Both players obviously came off the bench for this. BK, which one of these two performances was more impressive for you?
I'm just a fan of irrational confidence, so that's why I like both of these performances. Lance had 20 in the first quarter. He had 20 straight. This guy's on a 10-day contract, been out of the league for 2 years. His first game back in Indiana, and then this is what he does. Only Lance Stephenson could outshine Kyrie Irving's season debut and make it all about him. But 30 off the bench from Lance was crazy. But shout out to Kelly Oubre. He nearly broke the single quarter record for threes. He had 8, which is second all time, only to Klay Thompson. Like he just couldn't miss in that fourth quarter for Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I was watching that Lance Stephenson game, and I'm going to call it the Lance Stephenson game. I was watching that thing, and I was like, what year are we in right now? Like, what year did I wake up in? Because it was just like a time warp. And he even had the and one-ons. Did you see the
I did.
Yeah.
And he was mixing dudes up too. Like it was like he was just getting easy buckets. Like he was dancing. I was like,
what year are we in? Like this COVID really has taken its toll. But I'm with you. I'm Lance Stephenson all the way. I love a dude with irrational confidence. The only way this can be topped is if J.R. Smith comes back to the Knicks and drops 8 3-pointers and does that celebration.
He might have his jersey retired if he comes back and does that.
Listen, they need to build a J.R. Smith statue outside of Madison Square Garden. I'm all for that one.
Or outside of One Oak, at least.
I love it. BK, let's go on to Zion Williamson. Yesterday, the Pelicans announced he will continue to rehab a fractured foot away from the team. And then Williamson released a statement, and he said, "As you can imagine, this has been a very difficult process for me. I know there's work to be done in my recovery before I can safely return to the court, but I will continue to put in the time necessary so I can get back on the floor and represent the Pelicans. Basketball means everything to me, and I'm thankful for the Pelicans organization who has surrounded me with love and support throughout this journey." BK, what does this mean now? He's going to be rehabbing away from the team, but I believe it's under the supervision of the team still.
Yeah, I mean, David Griffin came out in that same statement just saying that, him being away from the team is more so he can just purely focus on getting himself right. But when you look at the Pelicans season, they're 13-25, they're second bottom in the Western Conference. I mean, if the next update was supposed to come sort of mid to late January, after you sort of got that 4 to 6 week timeline in December. But if you're the Pelicans, do you even try and bring Zion back this season, or do you or do you try and make sure he's right for the long term?
That's a great question, BK. That's actually what I was going to ask you next, because the only way I feel you bring him back this year is to let him get those match reps in, right? Because he played 21 games in his first year. I think he played 62 or 61 last year out of a 72 game season. So he didn't miss too many games last year, but it's going to be, his third season, and he needs to get those game match reps in. That's the only way I think you bring him back. Other than that, it's a lost season for the Pelicans. There is no point. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the play-in tournament. You're just basically going through the motions until the end of the season right now. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is, right? I guess that's the only way you bring him back. But like you said, there's no rush to bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think for him, they're not trying to win a bunch of games. At this point, like they've probably got one eye on the lottery for next season. So if you can bring him back on a minutes restriction, just get him out there in, by the time he gets back, what will effectively be meaningless games for the Pelicans. But it's a tough road for Zion, because the way he started his NBA career, and then obviously had that stretch in his second season, we just want to see him back out on the floor and healthy. So hopefully he can get himself right and do that. Yeah.
The only thing I'm going to disagree with you there is you said by the time he comes back, it will be meaningless games. They're pretty much meaningless games for the Pelicans.
I'm not trying to do them dirty before the All-Star break.
I'm coming out all guns firing from now on.
It's over. All
right, BK, let's take a look at some of the games on the slate today before we get out of here. Just 4 games on the NBA schedule, so a quiet one today. We're going to start up with the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks here. Celtics $1.75 favorites. New York Knicks 216. The line is at 2. Totals at 208.5. Live on ESPN BK. C's play on the second night of a back-to-back. They lose to the Spurs yesterday in a pretty heartbreaking fashion there. Jaylen Brown missing a layup right at the end. Knicks beat the Pacers on Wednesday. I've got to give us a shout out, BK. Our picks were 5 out of 5 the other day. So let's see if we can keep this going. You know what, BK? I'm going Knicks at home. The C's haven't been convincing. Second night of a back-to-back. Knicks have had a little bit of rest. Still missing Kemba Walker. Julius Randle's back, though. Shout out to my guy, the Prince of New York. I'm going Knicks at home.
I'll break our streak then, because I think the Celtics will want to bounce back after that disappointing game, losing to the Spurs, who haven't been very good of late. I'm expecting them to show a little bit of fight. Second night of a back-to-back is tough, but the way they went down yesterday, I'm expecting them to do something in this game.
You know what this game's going to have? Big, regret energy from me, because the Knicks are going to lose, and then I'm going to come back on Monday and say I'm never picking the Knicks ever again.
Well, for your sake, I hope they win.
All right, mate. Let's take a look at the next game up on the schedule here. Golden State Warriors $1.99. The Pelicans are actually favorites here, and that's because the Warriors are missing quite a few guys. Pelicans $1.88. Line there is at 1. Total 211.5. Live on NBA League Pass, BK. Warriors lost big to Dallas yesterday. Maybe Dallas was fired up from that Dirk retirement, the jersey retirement ceremony. Steph is listed as day-to-day. This is of as last night, and I haven't seen anything this morning to show me different. So Steph Curry is listed as day-to-day. No Iguodala, no Otto Porter. I still look at that team and think, you should still have enough to beat the Pelicans, BK, but Pelicans are favorites here.
After we've just been beaten up on the Pelicans. Second night of a back-to-back as well. So Steph Curry, it's hard to see if he'll play in that game. This could be one that they just let go, but I still think the G League Warriors can beat the Pelicans.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Jordan Poole.
I'm surprised why the Pelicans are still favorites. Maybe the market doesn't think that they're as bad as I do, but
I think the market thinks Steph's definitely not playing.
Yeah, but I'm still going with the Warriors, BK. Like I said, I think on paper they should still have enough to beat a dilapidated Pelicans team. Next up, BK. We've got look at this one here. The Detroit Pistons and the Grizzlies. Grizzlies $1.10 here. Pistons $8. Lines 12.5. Totals 218. Live on NBA League Pass again. Grizzlies have won 6 in a row. BK, is there any reason to think Detroit's going to cause an upset here?
Look, the over-under's at 218. I think the Grizz could win by 218. Let's keep the streak going for Memphis.
Yeah, I think that's easy. Memphis, that's all I have to say on that one there. Last game we're going to take a look at. We've got the Clippers and the Suns. Suns $1.17. Clippers $5.60 there. Line 10.5. Totals at 221. Live on ESPN later today, BK. Suns have won 2 in a row. DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder, JaVale McGee have all exited protocols but will not play today against the Clippers. Clippers obviously missing PG and Kawhi. We spoke about it the other day. Yeah, I think the Suns still, Chris Paul and Devin Booker over anyone that the Clippers have got right now.
Sorry, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Bismack Biyombo. Let's go.
And Bismack Biyombo, who just got signed for the rest of the season, actually.
Hey, looks good, too.
Yeah. DeAndre Ayton, who?
Hey, they low-key have a really nice big man rotation with JaVale and Bismack, if that's them going forward.
Yeah, look, I'm all in. I think the Suns very easily win today. So you're going with the Suns, BK?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. There you go. All right, BK, we're going to catch you again on Monday morning. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about from the NBA games over the weekend. This has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. And we'll catch you guys on Monday. Thank you.